fought the fight, breaking down the walls in the dead of night. I don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. Saw content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
You know, with the new release of Star Wars Outlaws hitting the Switch 2, I honestly have to laugh. I really do, because the Nintendo fanboys, these people are up in arms, hyping this game to the absolute max like it's some kind of brand new revolutionary release, like it's the second coming of Breath of the Wild or the next big cultural moment in gaming. And I sit back watching all this unfold and I can't help but say, really? Really, guys? Because here's the kicker, this isn't some brand new Switch 2 game. No, it's not a landmark title design to show off what the new hardware can do. It's not a bold new IP, it's not even a fresh release, it's a game keycard for crying out loud. That's all it is, a glorified ticket to download the actual game. And the funniest part, they are totally fine with it now. Totally okay. Why? Because the developer came out and admitted plain as day that if they had actually put the full game onto the cartridge, it would have ran like absolute garbage. That's it. That's the excuse, and suddenly, just like that, the fanboys are okay with it. Overnight, the same people who used to swear up and down that cartridges are the future, cartridges are faster, cartridges are better than discs, are now bowing their heads and quietly accepting that. Yeah, maybe the carts aren't all that great after all. Funny how that works, isn't it? See, I've been saying this for a long time. Those cartridges are way too expensive. Always have been, always will be. The profit margins on those things are ridiculous. And who ends up paying for it? Us, the consumer. And I said it back then and I'll say it again. Nintendo should have gone the PSP route. That's right, little base media, except don't make them like the PSP fragile flimsy UMDs that scratch even if you looked at them wrong. Make them Blu-ray quality, compact, durable, higher capacity, and cheaper to produce. That's the way to go. But oh no. When I said that, everybody jumped on me. Everybody told me, no, we need cartridges because discs are too slow. With discs, you have to transfer the game to the hard drive just to play fast enough. Well, guess what? With cartridges, we're right back in the same situation. Well, with the game keycards, they can't fit the whole game sometimes. They can't optimize the performance without cutting corners like with Star Wars Outlaws. And so now what do we have? We have got developers pushing out these game keycards and don't even hold the full game. You still need a massive download, you still need the internet, so tell me, what was the point? Where's the big win for consumers here? Here's the thing, at least with discs, the entire game is on there for the most part. You buy it, you pop it in, you transfer it to the hard drive, and on top of that, discs are cheaper. Cheaper for the developers, cheaper for the publishers, and cheaper for us. It's a win-win. But oh no, the Nintendo fanboys couldn't let me be right. They couldn't give me that win. They had to be different. They had to be quirky. They had to cling to their little, we're unique identity. And now look at where it's gotten them. And what's even funnier, now all the fanboys are as quiet as a church mouse about it. Not a peep, not a whisper, because deep down they knew that they were wrong. They knew they fought tooth and nail to defend cartridges, only to have it blow up in their face. And the irony, the games they are bending over backwards to defend isn't even all that good. Let's be real here. Star Wars Outlaws came out last year. It's not new, it's not fresh. And you know what? Nobody was that excited when it launched. Nobody. The hype came and went in a blink of an eye. The reviews were lukewarm at best, and that's because it's not a bad game, but it's not a great game either. It's a textbook definition of a mediocre AAA release. One of those games that gets some headlines, makes a little noise, maybe sells okay, and then fades into the background. But now, oh no, because it's coming to the Switch 2, suddenly it's the game of the year. Suddenly it's a must buy. Suddenly, these same Nintendo fans who ignored it on PC, ignored it on the PS5, ignored it on Xbox, are falling over themselves to pretend like it's the second coming of gaming. Give me a break. Look, I get it, I really do. Nintendo fans have been starving for good AAA party game support for what now, 25 years? A quarter of a century without reliable, consistent, high quality third party releases. That's rough, I sympathize. But here's the thing, just because you've been starving doesn't mean you should hype up a microwave TV dinner like it's a 5-star meal. Just because you've been deprived doesn't mean you have to celebrate mediocrity like it's brilliance. All that does is send the wrong message. It tells developers, hey, you don't need to try, you don't need to innovate, just give us something average and we'll cheer like it's the best thing ever. And that is a terrible precedent to set. And then I get called out in the comments. I get people coming at me, oh no, you think it's mediocre because it's coming to the Switch? No! Wrong. Stop twisting the narrative. We've been calling this game mediocre since before it launched. That's not new. That's not some anti-Nintendo agenda. That's just the truth. The game looks mid, it launched under mid, and it's still mid today. The platform it's on doesn't change that. And let's talk about the main character for a second. I don't want to be that guy, but let's not pretend like the character design was pulling people in. Most gamers weren't looking at Outlaws and saying, wow, I can't wait to play as her. If anything, that turned people away. Compare that to something like Stellar Blade, where the character design was a huge draw. People wanted to play it not just because of the gameplay, but because the protagonist was an eye-catchy, stylish, and yes, sexy. That matters. That sells. Look at Ghost of Yotei, or the latest Naughty Dog project that I can't remember the title of because it's too long and they need to change it. But you are playing as women that are not attractive. None of us are excited for it. We all were sitting here saying the same thing about Ghost of Yotei. We're all saying the same thing about that Naughty Dog project. Guess what? Those games are not on the Nintendo Switch. They probably will, maybe never will be. But guess what? If it goes to the Switch, it ain't gonna change the fact that none of us are excited for it for the same reason. So I ask again, where was this hype before? Where were the Nintendo fans when Outlaws dropped on PlayStation? Where were they when it hit PC? They were silent. They didn't care. They had their chance to play it and they passed. Many of those Nintendo fanboys on YouTube have PS5s, have PCs. But now that it's on the Switch 2, suddenly it's a masterpiece. Suddenly it's worth every penny. Suddenly it's a system seller. Give me a break. This isn't about the game. This is about defending the plastic box. This is about defending Nintendo's honor like the Switch 2 is some sacred relic handed down from the heavens. And that's what drives me nuts, because instead of holding Nintendo accountable, instead of demanding better, instead of pushing for real innovation and proper third-party support, the fanboys just keep lowering the bar. They keep moving the goalposts. They keep saying, well, it's good enough. And every time they do that, Nintendo and the developers learn the same lesson. Don't try harder. Don't spend more. Don't improve. Just shovel out whatever you've got and the fans will lap it up. You know, it's not just Star Wars Outlaw. No. That's just the tip of the iceberg. Let's talk about Madden. Let's talk about WWE, because these games, these so-called big AAA releases, get announced for the Switch 2, and suddenly the Nintendo fanboys are clapping like trained seals. They are celebrating like their team just won a championship. Oh my god, we're getting Madden. Oh my gosh, we're getting WWE. And I sit back and I just have to shake my head, because really, this is what you're excited about? Let's be honest here, Madden, come on. That franchise hasn't been good in over a decade. It's the same recycled gameplay year after year with a fresh coat of paint and a new number slapped on the box. The only thing new about it is the price tag and a mountain of microtransactions waiting to drain your wallet. That's what the fanboys are cheering for, not gameplay innovation, not a revolution in football. No, they are cheering for Ultimate Team card packs and predatory microtransactions. And WWE, same story, microtransaction DLC out the ass. Shiny graphics hiding shallow mechanics, but because it has a AAA stamp, suddenly the Switch 2 fanboys act like Nintendo just cured world hunger. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. Most of the big third-party games coming to the Switch 2 in the future, they are going to most likely be a game key card. All of them. You know why? Because Nintendo painted themselves into a corner with cartridges. You can't transfer the game from the cart to the hardware. You can't fit massive next-gen games on those tiny overpriced chips. So what happens? Developers are forced to put out half-empty carts that act like glorified download keys. And the fanboys don't complain, they don't push back, they don't demand better, they just shrug their shoulders and say, well, at least we're getting the game. We are suffering because Nintendo makes poor business decisions, plain and simple. Nintendo knew that cartridges weren't the way to go. We've been telling them this since the start of the Switch era, well before that, back on the N64. But did they listen? No, they doubled down. They clung to cartridges like they were sacred, even as the rest of the industry moved on. And here we are, years later, stuck in the same rut, stuck dealing with the same problems, stuck pretending like game keycards are good enough. Let's not kid ourselves. Cartridges belong in the past. That's where they should have stayed. They had their time, they had their place, the NES, the SNES. Back then, carts made sense. They were faster, they were durable, they made loading times disappear. But now in the age of Blu-ray, in the age of SSDs, in the age of digital storefronts and massive game files, carts are a joke. They are overpriced, underpowered relics. And Nintendo's stubborn refusal to let them go has consequences. We're the ones paying for it. We're the ones suffering. Because until this cycle breaks, until Nintendo finally swallows their pride and moves on, this is what we're stuck with. Mediocre AAA games, overpriced cartridges, half-baked ports, and fanboys celebrating mediocrity like it's excellence. That's the reality, and you wonder why people like me rant about this. You wonder why we get frustrated. It's because we can see the pattern. We can see where it's going, and it's not good. Think about it. How many times has this happened? How many times has Nintendo chosen to be different for the sake of being different, only to shoot themselves and us and their fans in the foot? Remember the GameCube? Great little system, powerful for its time, but what did Nintendo do? Mini discs, weird little discs that couldn't hold the same amount of data as a regular DVD. So what happened? Third parties walked. They didn't want to spend the time and money cutting content just to fit their games on smaller discs. And the GameCube, despite being a solid console, ended up with scraps for third-party support. Fast forward to the Wii, sure, it sold like crazy, but the third-party games, shovelware, cheap cash grab titles flooding the system, while the real heavy hitters went to Xbox and PlayStation. Why? Because the hardware wasn't built to handle them. Then the Wii U. Don't even get me started. The tablet controller no one asked for, confusing marketing, ports that ran worse than last-gen counterparts, and again, poor business decisions. Nintendo handicapping themselves for the sake of being unique. And now with the Switch and Switch 2, we're right back here again. Cartridges, overpriced storage, limitations everywhere, and developers forced to make compromises just to get their games running on Nintendo hardware. So instead of full optimized, complete experiences, we get watered down ports, half-empty carts, and excuses. Always excuses, and the fanboys, they eat it up, they defend it, they say, well, it's good enough. But good enough isn't good enough anymore, not in 2025, and when the rest of the industry is pushing forward with cutting-edge technology, massive worlds, and complete experiences, Nintendo fans deserve better. Hell, gaming as a whole deserves better, because when one of the biggest names in the industry keeps lowering the bar, it drags everyone else down. And that's why this drives me crazy, because it's not just about Star Wars Outlaws, it's not just about Madden, it's not just about WWE, it's about a pattern of Nintendo making the same mistakes over and over, a pattern of fanboys defending mediocrity, a pattern of settling for less, of celebrating scraps, of cheering when you should be demanding more. And until that changes, until Nintendo finally lets go of their stubborn obsession with cartridges and embraces the reality of modern gaming, we're going to keep seeing this over and over. Mediocre AAA games, overpriced cards, half-baked ports, and fanboys cheering mediocrity like it's the second coming. And that's why I rant, that's why I get fired up, because I love gaming. I care about the industry. I care about the people who spend their hard-earned money on these consoles and these games, and it kills me to see them getting ripped off again and again while being told to smile and clap for mediocrity. So yeah, maybe I sound angry, maybe I sound bitter, but somebody has to call it out, because if we don't, if we just keep quiet, if we just keep letting Nintendo and fanboys control the narrative, nothing will change. And I don't know about you, but I'm tired of pretending that mediocrity is excellence. I'm tired of pretending that overpriced, half-empty cartridges are the future, and I'm tired of watching one of the biggest names in the gaming drag their feet while the rest of the industry moves forwards. So no, it's not just about Star Wars Outlaws. It's bigger than that. It's about the pattern. It's about the principle. And until the cycle breaks, we'll be stuck in this loop forever. And that's not good for Nintendo. That's not good for developers. And that's definitely not good for us, the gamers, the consumers. Well, that's the end of the video. If you truly enjoyed it and want to support the channel, why not consider becoming a member? It's just $1 a month, and you'll get access to exclusive badges and emotes, plus shout out the end of each video. And hey, once the list gets too long, we'll turn it into a full credit roll so everyone still gets their moment to shine. Also, don't forget to check out the exclusive Vigilante merch. Rep the brand, support the channel, and look good doing it. And of course, make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel grow. I'm really trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I really need your help. And also, if you want to check me out live, I go live every Monday morning around 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And until next time, guys, stay vigilant. And now it's time to read off the members of the channel. We got Koros Objective, Maximilian Pegasus 88, Mad Fox 94, Shade Milkman, Oh No It's Justin, Brian Payne, Andy Ritz, J Wesby 65, C Stars Pipflup, Astrius Lane, Maximus 2400, John Molina, Dustin 360, and That PlayStation Gamer. Thank you so much for becoming part of the crew.